If you are thinking about starting your own service business, then something that's worth thinking about sooner than later is branding. So recently, we had 2 clients reach out to update their monthly subscription. The first client is a $100 client. The second client is a $1,000 client. One of those wanted to cancel their subscription, and the other one wanted to increase their subscription. And you might think the one that pays $1,000 a month probably is the one that wants to cancel because they stand to save $1,000 a month. But the irony is they're the ones that were so happy with the service that they wanted to increase it another $200 a month. The $100 client and the $1,000 client have the exact same subscription for the exact same thing. The only difference is that the $1,000 client has more seats, if you will. Well, we sell security cameras, so it's a security camera subscription, meaning they have just a lot more cameras. The reason that the one client wanted to cancel is really the same reason that the other one wanted to increase. We're gonna get into why, but it comes down to branding. Welcome back to the Security Bros. I am Ken. This is James. And when we aren't making these fun little videos for you guys, we are running a business, a security systems business. And when I first started that company, the types of clients that I had were on the low side. I was selling very cheap stuff at the lowest possible rate because nobody knew who I was. I did not have a reputation, at least I didn't have a reputation with clients. A lot of people in the industry knew me, but clients didn't know me. So I had to go in at a rate that was so stupid low that people had to say yes. In order to take the company from charging way too little for a bunch of cheap stuff up to charging a lot more money for really good stuff, I had to make a really important shift in the company. I had to build a brand. What is a brand? I think that's worth defining. Why can you charge more when you have the brand? And then what did we do to actually create a brand around our own business? To me, just very simply put, a brand is the emotion that a client associates with the company. With our company, people associate very simple and easy experience. It's very easy to work with us. Why can you charge more when you have a brand? Well, think of it like this. When you go into the grocery store and you see the Fruit Loops by Kellogg's and they're $6, and then you see the Giant brand for $2. People buy both. The store brand is worth only a fraction of what the actual branded one is. Is the Fruit Loops by Kellogg's better? It might taste some better. Does it taste 250% better? I don't know, but people are willing to pay more for the brand.
They are.
Okay, because the brand does something for people. The thing is that you can sell more for a brand because you're adding things in that people are willing to spend more money for instead of just the thing itself.
Right.
For instance, we install security cameras, but you want to create a brand around that. You say we only sell security cameras that are about this good.
Okay.
We aren't selling explosion-proof cameras, and we're not installing these cheap plastic things that break down in a year. We're installing things at this level, and then that becomes your brand. The other thing you can do with that is to say we install these things in a certain way. Like you can also say we have a guarantee, maybe a satisfaction guarantee. Okay. You can have it so that your technicians show up with a lot of punctuality. Show up exactly on time. Maybe they're very polite. They have a uniform. Your work vehicles have a certain look to them. All of those things, that uniformity and having a process that creates a brand because people start to associate certain things with your company. If your people show up and they haven't showered, so they stink, you end up with a brand. I guess everybody has a brand, but some people don't manage their own brand, and so their brand stinks. Even Walmart, which is known for selling things at a cheap price, they're very successful. They have their own brand. People associate certain things with Walmart. A lot of fights and that kind of thing happens inside Walmart. Walmart has a brand, and because they have that, they're able to sell billions of dollars worth of stuff. The way that we've built, like going into the third one here, the way we've built the brand is by making certain things consistent throughout the company. Particularly, we've made the customer experience consistent. The question is, how did we make it consistent? Because it's not easy to do. And so we had to make several tough choices, one of which is that we have limited what we sell. We've limited the way that we sell, and we've limited who we sell to. What is it that we sell?
Alarms, cameras, access control, and intercom systems.
Right. So in other words, we sell 4 things.
Core 4.
We sell the core 4. Who do we sell to?
Commercial customers.
We sell it to commercial customers, particularly people that have a lot of money.
We took time to find things that are quality, and if we find that something isn't quality, it goes. So you do your best. Sometimes you think something's quality, and then you find out over some time, you're like, this isn't really up to our standards, so put in something.
As we find things that are better, we shift those parts in and we shift the old parts out, so we're always aiming to have the best stuff within a certain price range. So we sell 4 things. We sell them to commercial clients that are successful and they highly value security. And the way that we make sure they highly value security is that everything we sell has a subscription, which means that people don't buy this stuff unless they're very committed to having good security. And then in terms of the way that we sell, it's like a 6-step process. I always get this question, what's the process of buying? And it's like, well, first you have to approve the quote, then you gotta make the deposit payment, then we have to order the stuff, then we'll schedule the installation, then you will receive the installation, and then you pay the deposit invoice. That's 6 things. Then you'll pay the completion invoice, that's the last one. So that's 6 things, and we have that on repeat over and over and over. And that might sound obvious, but the way that we used to sell in the first few years of the business was very different, because we'd have these different clients, especially these big ones that would come on and hire us. And because they were very big companies, they would say, we want your process the way you work with us. These are the terms, as in we will pay you this much and you agree to our terms. We won't pay a deposit, we're gonna pay you in some other fashion. That's how it would work with that client. And then another client would want us to work only nights and weekends, and then they would want us to, basically our whole workflow, our whole company process for how we did things depended on the client that we were working with. Now we don't do that. We have our own hours, so when clients ask us, we say we work during these hours. We service during these hours. These are our daily rates. These are our emergency rates. We have a certain process when you need a project done. Everything is processed out pretty much. That means that we have a way that we sell now, instead of doing it any old way depending on the client. No. If you need it done some special way, find some special vendor. That's not us. By making sure that we have a way that we sell and we have a way that we deliver the projects to clients and deliver our services to clients, and also by making sure that we sell to like a certain type of customer, we've been able to, and also by limiting what we sell, we've made sure that we can provide a pretty consistent experience to clients, which has then helped to build a brand around our business, which then has enabled us to sell our stuff for more money, which means that now we have more leverage to provide a better service to clients.
And so you got to think about what type of brand do you want? Because everything you've pretty much mentioned has been like ease of flow and quality experience for the customer.
I want them to feel like it was very easy to work with us. I want it to feel very simple.
That's the big thing.
I want it to feel easy. That's what I want them to feel. Which is why when clients want to micromanage how we do things, or they want to change things, I say, this isn't going to work because you're coming to us because of our brand, because of you've been referred to us because you want this same experience. You won't have this experience if you're trying to micromanage, or you need us to do it in a different way. I only know how to provide this experience by doing it my way. Which is why if somebody needs something else, I say you got to go, man. You got to get out of here. You're going to ruin this for everybody.
Well, that's a tough thing, because there's people that any number of things you could buy, and if you go there and you're like, well, I want this, I want to go buy a Ford truck because I like the Ford truck, but then you're like, but I want it with a Dodge truck engine. It's like, well, you went to Ford because you wanted the Ford. Don't try to go make the Ford something. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with this. If you like what our company provides, don't go and try to make it like the place you had
That's a good point.
Don't.
You're trying to work with us the same way you worked with the people you had an issue with.
Yeah.
You're going to recreate that issue over
Don't
here.
try to bring your problems with you when you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I figured out that I've never heard anybody say in a book or in any podcast, in any video, any lecture. And that is, whatever experience that you want the client to have. In our case, we want them to feel like the experience was easy. We want them to feel like the experience was simple.
Yeah.
Because in our industry, it generally feels just the opposite. So for us, we're solving this problem of keep it easy, keep it simple. You can, of course, try to change that with marketing. A lot of companies do. They'll just market whatever they want people to think about them.
Yeah, they're putting out vibes.
Yeah, they're trying to market vibes. You don't need all the marketing if you take whatever you're trying to present and you find a way to do that internally. Meaning, if I want clients to feel like it's very easy and simple, then the business itself needs to run very easy and simple from its core. If we have a very simple and easy to run business, clients, just by default, there will be this ripple effect where they now experience it to be simple and easy. I was meeting with a client this week. She wanted to talk about some updates to her system, and I didn't even have to do any work on the sale. I hadn't even presented the quote yet, and she was already selling me on me, talking about how much better it is to work with, our company than to work with other companies.
Nice.
And she was referring to how easy it is to get a hold of us, how simple the whole process is, how much it's actually worth paying more to us than it is to get a better deal with, like, financial deal with another company, because just the experience ends up being worth a lot more. So she was like, I trust Ken and whatever he's recommending to solve this problem, let's just go with that.
That's called value.
And I'm standing there, and one thing I've learned in sales is that when the customer is giving you the yes, you shut up. You don't, if the sale is already basically made,
Yep.
you're not gonna make the sale twice. The only thing you can maybe do is unmake the sale. So if they're sold, you just shut up. That's what I did, is I said,
Thank you.
thank you.
Don't stick your foot in your mouth.
It's tempting to get excited because, you don't hear that probably very often, because you're the sales guy. So you want to jump in there and be like, well, if you like that, let me talk some more. And then you might end up on something that ends up turning them off. This whole thing is about one client wanting to cancel when they're a small client, and the other client wanting to make it bigger, who's actually a big client, which I find kind of funny, because you would think it's the smaller clients that would want to stick around, and the big clients would want to save a lot of money.
Okay, so why did the small client want to leave, and why did the big client want to stay?
As it turns out, people that are struggling, they feel like what they're paying is high for what they're getting, whereas the other client is paying 10 times more, and they feel like it's such a fantastic deal for what they're getting that they want to increase it. And that is a lesson learned, because clients with money end up being a lot easier to sell.
Do you think that $100 client, if you were a different company offering the same thing that we offered them, do you think that they would be happy paying those $100, a month, or do you think that they wanted to leave because they started with us when we were just a very cheap company?
Right. I get the question, and in some cases, if somebody views you like a Timex, they're not going to pay Rolex prices for you.
Right.
But in their case, they truly can only afford the Timex.
Okay.
So the problem isn't them. The problem is me, or us, or our company, because we have expanded, we've grown, we've become something different than what we started with.
Yeah.
The quality of the installations has stayed the same. They had a great installation, but they had cheap products.
Yeah.
As we've developed the company, we use better products that cost more money. So when they've purchased our services, they've had a hard time keeping up with our new prices, because we won't install the cheap stuff that we started with. We only install this nicer stuff. They still want to work with us, and so they will stretch their wallet to, they'll spend the money begrudgingly to get the nicer stuff so that they can keep working with us because they trust us. That part they like. but they aren't really in the market for the higher brand. So to answer your question, would they spend it with another company that started out with that they see now as that higher brand? No, because they don't want the higher end stuff. There's a reason they hired me to begin with, because that's what they wanted. They wanted the cheaper thing at the cheaper price. I know the point you're making.
Yeah, that there's people that start here, but then when the company changes, they're not able to grow with them because they knew them over here. Same thing sometimes with people. It'd be like if you had, like antenna TV, and you hadn't been paying for it, and eventually antenna TV was like, oh, we're charging $10 a month for antenna TV now. But if you're somebody who didn't have any TV and you just come in and somebody's like, hey, it's $10 a month for antenna TV, then you're like, oh, okay, fine.
Correct.
Right? Doesn't hurt as much.
It's happened with Netflix.
Same thing. Yeah, you're with Netflix. It's $9 a month or whatever, or $8 a month, $7 a month. And then they're like, oh, it's more. And then you're like, dang it. And then you forget about it.
Yeah, if it starts at a 10,
and
then years later, like 10 years, it doesn't matter how many years later, they decide to make it 30 to keep up with inflation. And because they've added a ton of games and new movies and shows, people say, holy crap, it's 30, that's hardly affordable. When decades before that, people were paying more than that for a monthly subscription to Blockbuster, where they had to drive to go pick up the movie in person. Meanwhile, you have unlimited movies at your fingertips streaming on multiple devices for $30, and people think, holy crap, this is such a ripoff. It used to be 10. If you see something as a Timex and then they decide to be the Rolex, it's kind of hard to stop yourself from always seeing it as basically a Timex.
Yeah, the long way to get to, exactly.
I mean, it probably is true that they still remember us as we started, but at the same time, it wouldn't matter. Because they still just don't have the money. And I think the more important lesson here is like you have to grow as a company anyway. So whatever with the way that people view you, however that works out, that's kind of irrelevant because you got to grow. The more important thing to learn is that people with money don't have a problem spending it. A lot of people think, oh, the people with money are cheap. No, that's not really the truth. When it comes to clients, the people with money, if you have something that solves a problem for them, they're willing to spend the money.
And people with money want to spend money with a quality brand.
Yeah, not necessarily. Look, I know a lot of people talk about like quality. You really got to make things quality. Not everybody wants quality. I don't always want quality. Sometimes I want the cheap version of something. So even if the brand is making itself the cheap thing, that's why Walmart, I point out Walmart, one of the most successful companies in the entire world. They're not known for high quality. They're actually kind of known for cheap. That's the way they brand it. Everyday low prices, that's their thing.
Yeah.
It attracts a certain kind of people. You'll notice a certain kind of people like to shop at Walmart. It's a very different kind of people that like to shop at Target, where the prices are artificially high. But it means that their aisles are wider, that their store smells like popcorn for some reason. And
probably the popcorn. Well, when I say quality, I don't just mean like the ceramic mug is really strong. You could drop it on the floor, it's quality. I just mean like the entire thing. But like you said, not every brand is built around like a quality, like
Timex.
Walmart isn't necessarily the most quality experience. I would rather go smell the popcorn.
People will pay more for a brand, and brands can make more because they're a brand.
Gotcha.
It doesn't matter whether it's a cheap brand or a very high-end brand. You still can make more money if you know what you're trying to do. So you build everything around that brand. With us, I did not want to be the most high-end, most quality brand. To do that would mean we'd have to have like a different kind of client. And I wanted this kind of client, which is why I said I want clients that are successful and have money and want good security. I rarely will say that they want the highest level of security. I'm not saying we're making impenetrable security. I'm not using explosion-proof cameras. Those exist.
They do.
Which doesn't really make much sense to me because maybe the camera doesn't explode, but if the cable explodes going to the camera, then you still can't see anything. So I don't really get it, but whatever.
Explosion-proof conduit.
Explosion-proof. Yeah, explosion-proof drywall behind the conduit. Sure. I'm not trying to be that level of security. We aren't like the, the Delta force of security. We are good security. We provide good products. We do it at a good price. We're
Pretty
right
good
here.
security.
We're not at the lowest level. We're not at the highest. We're pretty punctual, but we're not like, it's not like in Japan where they show up 30 minutes early and they're ready to go, like even before the allotted time starts. No, we try to get it pretty right. And that is still significantly better than most other companies in the area. But then again, you know, they set the bar really low, so I'm not really trying to chase that. But I did say, I want our brand to be like this, and I want to build everything around that. And by doing that, it has made it a lot easier to run, which has made the experience for customers easy as well. That is our brand, and because of that, we can charge more money. And if you like to charge more money, why don't you go ahead and like this video so we know, and share it so your friends know.
Bye.
I don't feel like I'm setting you up very well for.
You're saying you're making points, and I'm like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a good point you got there.
You're like, oh, hell yeah, 100%. You go, boy.